Hello, everyone. Dr. Michelini here. I'm here to talk to you today about how to integrate a quote from our course text, It's Great to Suck at Something by Karen Rinaldi. Last week, we went over how to cite your book in MLA format in the Works Cited page, and we briefly went over in-text citations. So today, we're going to go over that a little bit more in depth, okay? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all so you can see here what I'm talking about. And here we have it, how to integrate a quote in MLA format. Again, we're working with MLA here. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you want to include a quote from the text is identify exactly what words or what section of a paragraph that you want to include. Sometimes the temptation is to say, I want to include the whole paragraph. She wrote it so well. He said it perfectly, whatever it is, right? But remember that this is your paper. So ideally, you only want to select a few words, the words that you need in order to make your point, okay? So when we have a paragraph like this, it says, this is from Rinaldi. When we approach something new, it seems like our first response is to try to dominate it. If we can't, we ignore it. By ignoring it, we solve one problem. We don't have to be inadequate at something, but we create another. We diminish our own lives. We add a blank spot. Adulthood becomes a kind of accumulation of blank spots, a strategic anti-growth surrounded by space we're too scared to enter. Okay, so a little bit sad of a quote here, but let's say I'm writing my journal response and I'm really interested in talking about this, like diminishing of our own lives, like Rinaldi's referencing here. So I think the quote, like the piece I actually want from my paper is we diminish our own lives, okay? And that's the one that I'm gonna use here. Okay, so now what I need to do is fold it in to my own sentence. Okay, I don't just want to take that quote and drop it into my journal response or any paper I'm writing and leave it there. Okay, I want to make it part of my own sentence. So there's two ways to do this effectively. The first way is to write a sentence and then pop it in there where it makes grammatical sense. So I can introduce it by saying something like, the quote that most stood out to me from this chapter was, we diminish our own lives, okay? And I just have the quote, and then I have my in-text citation here. Remember from last week, Rinaldi, and it's from page 2, so I put 2 in the parentheses, and the period goes after the citation because the citation becomes part of my own sentence, okay? So this is perfectly correct. This is one way to do it. After the sentence, I would explain what I mean by that quote, right? But I folded it into my own sentence. The other way to do this, and sometimes the more popular way, is to use the author's last name to introduce the quote. So you might write something like, perhaps the most powerful line in this chapter is when Rinaldi writes, we diminish our own lives, okay? So I'm using her name here to introduce the quote because it might have been easier for me to explain it that way or write it that way, okay? And then I just need the page number after it now because I've used Rinaldi's name in the actual sentence itself, okay? So both of these options are correct. They both involve not just dropping the quote in there, but folding it into my own sentence. And I have cited with the last name and page number. Either way, you're good to go, okay? So this week, I'd like you to try it. Go ahead and try integrating a quote from the chapters you're reading this week in each of your journal responses. Don't forget to include your works cited citation. So remember, you cited the book last week by putting that full works cited citation in there, okay? You're going to continue to do that, but you now have also an in-text citation with a quote in your journal response, okay? So now it's both. We're kind of building on that idea. And the works cited page now makes more sense because it's works that you cited, that you actually had an in-text citation for, okay? So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you online. Take care.